Okay, welcome back, everyone. I'm very excited about this next session. This session is actually aligned to a think tank that the MMA launched a couple of years ago called the Marketing Organization Structure Think Tank. The acronym is actually MOST because we love acronyms at the MMA. So if you've been around us for a while, you'll know that we love that everything has an acronym. So we're very excited about this one in particular. It has taken a couple of years, but it is really groundbreaking and super interesting research that we've been doing. And here to introduce you and to talk a little bit about it is John Suarez Davis, who is the head of marketing strategy and innovation at Salesforce, and very gratefully our sponsor of the MOST program. So over to you, JSD, and you take it from here.
Thank you much. Thank you so much, Cheryl. And first and foremost, it's just great to see your face and great to see everybody on the call today. As Cheryl said, at Salesforce, we're a sponsor of MOST, and we couldn't be more excited for this initiative. It truly is amazing. I'm very excited that today you'll hear about this new model for the marketing organization. And it's really centered on the development of value stacks, organizational links, and learning loops. And here to share the development of these emerging practice is the Coca-Cola Company Chair, Professor of Marketing at the University of Georgia, the Terry College of Business. Go Bulldogs, is that right? Dr. Sundar Bharawach. Sundar, it is so great to have you. Again, the work and your colleagues are doing in this initiative is it's been incredibly valuable over the past couple of years, and we know you're taking it even to the next level. So with that, I will turn it over to you, and you can begin your presentation. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank you, JSD, for this kind introduction and being super supportive of the whole process of this relationship with us. And I'd also like to thank MMA for this opportunity. And thank you all for attending this session. Today, I'm going to talk about the modern marketing organization and its capabilities that are required essentially to sort of compete in this new marketing landscape that's reshaped by new technologies, new media, and changing customer expectations. The global pandemic has accelerated this process. So just take a look at the online sales, which was growing at about 14% compound annual growth rate over the last 4 years, has now suddenly grown just since early March at nearly 25% in just a 2-week period, largely led by grocery purchases. But this is true of other categories as well. If you look at sales in apparel, departmental stores, and beauty products, they have increased nearly 10 percentage points on average since the pandemic. In grocery alone, the penetration has gone from about 2% to 3%. People like to go buy and touch and feel their grocery. So it grew from 2 to 3% before the crisis to about 4 to 5x. So it's at between 8 and 10% today. And the expectation is in the new normal, it would be about 2x where it started, so at about 5 to 7%. So it's transitional and transformational in terms of the impact. Our own research, our group's own research, with customers show that the new requirements from customers beyond the traditional ones, more towards convenience, more towards safety and concern for employees as they make the consumer buying decisions. And essentially this means that the marketing environment has changed. So I want to really start off by asking you a poll. And essentially the goal of the poll is your responses, yes and no responses. And the question for you is, do you expect structural process, talent, systems to change within your organization within the next 6 months? We've got about 45 seconds, and I wish I could cue in some Jeopardy type music here, but I'll just wait and listen and see what pops up from you folks. All right, so vast majority of you expect significant changes to happen. A small minority say no, which sort of indicates that this process is really important. So let's look at what these transformations are driven by. And Cheryl mentioned the fact that MMA likes acronyms, and we are part of that same group, I guess, to introduce our own acronyms. And we believe that the marketing landscape is continuously changing in four ways, which we label as Mars. The first part is the fact that there's a lot more mobile, a lot more multi-channel and machine learning that's going on. That's the M. Significant increase in analytics use in firms, AI, automation, attribution modeling, augmented reality. Retail in some sense is being transformed by augmented reality as well. And the third thing, that is the A. The R, refers to real-time and a lot more rapid prototyping in terms of product development and so forth. And fourth, social and societal issues are becoming paramount. Together, they form Mars. Visible examples of these are how marketers are responding are looking at Harry's, which is really gone the pathway of personalization. Delta, before the pandemic in some sense, was delivering a whole lot of experience for customers, tracking their whole journey from the time they leave the home all the way till they get on the plane, and after they land. It was an experience journey. Nike has gone beyond great products to looking at delivering meaning, looking at societal issues and delivering meaning to customers. So different firms are transforming in very, very distinct sort of ways in terms of what's being done. A peek under the hood reveals a lot of new capabilities that marketers are developing. And so really the issue then basically raises by asking the fundamental question, what are capabilities? We define capabilities as combinations of decision processes, knowledge, skills, and systems used to transform assets that firms own, such as marketing insights or intellectual property, into financial outcomes that matter to senior managers, sales, market share, profit, shareholder value, and so forth. Our research also indicates that marketing capabilities are 3x more important than the structure of the industry or the company structure of the industry in which a firm operates in driving shareholder value. Additionally, we find that a 1% improvement in marketing capabilities delivers about a 3x or a 3 times improvement in terms of return on assets for the average Fortune 500 firm. So capabilities are very, very important. While they are very important, companies clearly have a difficult time in terms of really figuring out what they stand for. There's some significant confusion in it. Some companies look at it purely in terms of structure. Others look at it in terms of what competencies do we sort of have. Some others look at it in terms of specialized departments that organizations have. Really, so if you think of this, it's competencies. It's not competencies alone. It's not structure alone. It's not specialized skills alone. Capabilities are sort of like an engine to get things done. For example, let's take it managing the individual customer journey of companies. Research sort of indicates that companies that manage their journeys well completely outperform companies that don't. So in order to have the capability to manage the journeys well, companies need a combination of things. They need to combine ECRM capabilities with decision guidelines, with frontline experience management. Similarly, if they want to manage a community of users, similar to what Salesforce does quite a bit of, it requires knowledge of people's interests, dialogue management, and a whole bunch of listening skills need to come into play. So it's not one or the other, but a combination of these different things that matter as far as capabilities are concerned. To be fair to companies, companies are not sitting still, and they've been trying to make changes. They've initiated a number of changes, and some of these changes have led to spoken or unspoken tensions within the organization. So let me launch a quick poll to get a sense for what you're facing. Essentially, what you will respond to is to look at address the question. Select all the challenges faced within your marketing team at this point in time. So pick as many as you think is appropriate for you. So I've just launched the survey, and as we wait for results, it'll be interesting to figure out if your situation is similar or different from others. So clearly what we are seeing is that, in many cases, companies are data rich and insight poor. That's a dominant feeling. And there are a few other things that changes happen in a bunch of companies that are unique. So to a large extent, this sort of tells us that you're not necessarily alone, right? Other companies face problems that are similar to yours, and which sets a stage for me to talk about what we have done and what we have learned through the process and share those insights with you. So the primary question of this Mars project is to address the question, how are marketing organizations addressing these challenges? This comes out of a partnership with MMA. It involves us interviewing over 130 plus CMO level interviews and some area experts as well. It's multi-category data. So it could be a whole bunch of categories from technology to finance to CPG to airlines to hotels to retail. It also comes from insights that we have had with client engagements. And through the process, we have developed a bunch of frameworks and tools, some of which I will present to you today. The research team that's involved is pretty unique. So it's a rare combination of academics and industry practitioners who are part of our team that put the research together, some of which that you'll see at this point in time. So what is the Mars framework? The Mars framework essentially is about identifying ways in which a marketing organization can create value. And value can be created to two very distinct stakeholders at the customer level, which is what marketing organizations traditionally look at. But increasingly, marketing organizations are expected to deliver value back to the company as well. And so we distinctly see three types of value that's aimed at the company as well. So let me take a minute here to define what these things sort of mean. When you look at customer value, we look at three types of value, which is exchange values is the first sort of value that we are looking at. Exchange value essentially means the ability of firms to match offerings to individual needs and context and facilitate transactions. So essentially, you're meeting very personalized needs and firms are delivering value in that fashion. To deliver experience value, firms need to increase convenience and enjoyment throughout the customer journey. I provided Delta example earlier. I'll come up with more examples as we go along as an example of providing experience value. The third approach is by delivering engagement value, which is deepening and expanding the meaning and differentiation of a product offering. And that's how firms can create engagement value. As I said, there's also firm-side value that can be created through this framework. One is what's called knowledge value. And knowledge value is the ability of the firm to manage data and research insights by collecting market signals, converting them into customer insights, and optimizing resources. Companies can also create operating value by innovating new working practices, methods, and skills that improve the effectiveness of the marketing organization. And the third is strategic value, which is identifying growth opportunities for existing products and guide strategic leaps for new growth, for new products that they have forthcoming in the product line. It's really important to understand that for a marketing organization, it needs a set of capabilities to deliver these different sorts of value. For example, to deliver exchange value, they need a combination of knowledge, skills, processes, and technology that has the ability to recognize and use market signals to detect which customers are looking for a product or service and what problem they're seeking to solve. So the ability to identify those signals, categorize them into specific offerings that can be delivered to the customer in real time would be an example of exchange value and the underlying capabilities that reside. So in that fashion with the other capabilities. To give you an idea of these kind of stacks that exist for customers, if you just look at the customer side, you see these different configurations of these customer value that you look at that leads to different approaches that companies could potentially look at. For example, Delta is very focused on delivering experience value throughout the journey, and so they overweight on that stack. JustFab, an online women fashion retailer, is focused on the exchange stack. That is the ability to deliver personalized offerings to meet individual tastes and preferences. So they overweight on the experience stack. So in some sense, companies will major on a particular stack and minor on some other stack. It's the rare company that has pretty much covered the whole spectrum of all three stacks. Keep this picture in mind, the ability to deliver these different sorts of value, and you can draw a parallel on the company side as well as I go further into this presentation. Right? So what distinguishes companies that in the previous slide from others? Our perspective is that they make three careful strategic choices. In step one, they define the role of marketing within a broad set of opportunities. What is the core role that marketing organization is going to play in their firm? So there are a bunch of choices. They make that decision. The second decision they sort of make is once the decision is sort of made, they decide, they assess what capabilities are important to deliver on that role and how they are currently placed on those capabilities. So this helps them identify the gaps and is obviously dependent on the choice they make on what the role is going to be. And the third step, they prioritize the gaps as to where they are vis-a-vis where they should be and start to address those gaps by prioritizing which ones they need to address upfront. So rather than rush through and talk about all the different things that high-performing organizations will do, I'm going to spend the time between this and the next two slides in walking through the key things that differentiate successful or high-performing marketing capability organizations from low-performing ones. The first distinguishing trait that these organizations have is clarity on the role of marketing. What does marketing play in the organization? This is not that simple. It's problematic because organizations have a whole bunch of different people. They have influencer marketing specialists, they have attribution modelers, and various other sorts of people. Let's take these two, for example. They have very different backgrounds. An influencer marketing specialist may have come from a traditional marketing communication sort of background. An attribution modeler may have come from a statistics, computer science background, and they don't have a common language. Sort of it looks very similar to the proverbial blind men trying to describe an elephant. So each one has different language, very different ways, very different expectation of what needs to be done. So the clarity of what marketing is about is very, very critical. So the solution is clearly defining, articulating the role of marketing, figuring out what it is, what it's not. What does marketing lead? What does it support? What is in-source? What is outsourced? Those decisions need to be clear. The next step in the process that distinguishes successful or high-performing marketing organizations is a choice variable. Companies need to, strategy is largely about choice. They have to decide what to do and what not to do. So they need to carefully select new activities. We just look at the marketing space, the last several years, lots of action on the marketing front. New additions from social listening, journey management, crowdsourcing content, and so forth. So lots of new MarTech solutions are being observed. I just saw a stat that there are about 2,000 marketing AI startups that have developed in the last several years. So lots of choices. The problem is companies keep adding more and more new capabilities to their organization and without deleting any of the others that existed. So there's no fundamental reconfiguration of how things get done. So as more and more capabilities are being added, it leads to, in some sense, an overload in the organization, cognitive overload, and burnout. So the solution then is to sort of, wear a Marie Kondo type lens on these things to deliver the three types of customer values, to choose the major and minor area, exchange, experience, pick your choices on what's going to be major, what's going to be minor, and use that focus to define your capability stack configuration and then prioritize activities. So companies that are more successful in terms of marketing capability seem to be able to do that. The third is the fact that they have very clear shared frameworks. The shared frameworks unites the organization, reduces infighting, increases trust, enables performance. So having common frameworks, a doctrine on what marketing is about, all of that's critical for these organizations to sort of succeed. And that's what seems to distinguish successful or high-capable organizations and others. So for your organizations, what does it mean? How do you sort of get there, right? A journey of 1,000 steps usually begins with one. So sort of a first step, you need to assess what capabilities you have, and then choose your action steps that you need to take, right? So let me do a quick poll here to sort of figure out where you sort of stand on this issue. The question that you're going to address is the following. Select a statement that best represents the current situation within your marketing organization. So you're going to look at the current situation in your organization and choose what represents it best. All right. At this point, at least a significant majority are saying that we are clear about the capabilities we need and we are strong. That's really wonderful to know. Well, now I get more data. the numbers change quite dramatically. So what we see is some of you are not clear about the capabilities that you need or how strong you are. Some of you you're clear about the capabilities, but they don't know how strong they really are. The third is they're not clear about the capabilities, but believe that they're strong overall. So they don't know why they're strong, but they're strong. And about 20% of you, which is a good number, are clear about both the capabilities and your sort of strength. So there's significant heterogeneity in your responses here. And so that leads us to really the question of, what do I take away from this talk, right? What's your call to action? And given that these capabilities exist in some heterogeneity, here's what we can offer, right? So from our end, we can offer a quick assessment so that you can evaluate your capabilities, given the structure of the presentation, the structure of our marketing capabilities talk we just did. So you can do a quick assessment. It's complimentary. Within 2 weeks of your response, you'll get a customized benchmarking report. The report will then identify your 3 priority areas. And if you want to get that done, you need to get to this website, which is at tinyurl.com/marketing capability assessment. The survey will take about 8 to 9 minutes to sort of complete. And at the end of it, you'll get a comparison between you and your firm. So that's a benchmark. You'll also get your top 3 priority areas to focus on in terms of what capabilities do I need to build in order to create the different value structures that we talked about a bit ago. And that's pretty much it at this point in time, and I'm open for Q&A.
Great. Thank you so much, Sundar. That was fantastic. Really appreciate it. So I do have a couple of questions here from the audience I'm going to give you. And okay. Let's see. The first one is from Stuart Slocum. And he is asking, what is the source of the 1% increase in marketing capabilities, which is equal to 3 times return?
So it's academic research that one of our teams has done. And it's a published paper, academically published. And if you write to us, we're happy to share the results of the study with you.
Wonderful. Great. Let's see if we have any other questions here. So Sundar, I think you shared the responses from the survey, from the last survey. Is it possible to show us the response that came from the first survey? Do you expect changes in structure, processes, talent? I mean, that seemed like it was a pretty big number, right?
Yeah. So I just shared it, and and it's basically said 85% of the people expect changes. About 5% said no, and 10% said maybe. So vast majority believe that there's going to be a change. I just shared those results with everybody. Wonderful.
And can you do the same thing for poll number 2, please?
I did that as well. So I did 2 first and then 1. So they have all 3 polls right now.
Okay, fantastic. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sundar. We really appreciate it. And obviously more to come on this. This is obviously one of the most important things that the MMA is working on. So if anyone has any questions and would like to get more information about MOST and about the program that we have around it, please feel free to just reach out to anyone at the MMA, or you can reach out to me directly. My email is cheryl.deja@mmaglobal.com. And feel free to do that. We would love to bring it in and present to CMOs everywhere. So we'll maybe not bring it in, we'll bring it in virtually at this point, but certainly still be able to present to CMOs everywhere. And hopefully we'll actually do even more focused virtual event on this kind of coming up in the next few months. So stay tuned for more information on MOST. So thank you, Sundar. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
We really appreciate Salesforce's support. And right now we are going to have another 15-minute break. So please do visit we actually are on time, so we'll do a full 15 minutes. Please visit the exhibitors in the virtual exhibit hall, network and say hello to fellow attendees. This is the way we can still stay connected through chat, and certainly browse the resource center. We have a lot of resources in there that might be helpful for you as we all navigate this new normal, and certainly where marketing dollars need to go even further. So we'll meet back in the main session at exactly, let's see, 2:15 Eastern time. And until then, we will enjoy your break and we will see you soon. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.